What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the first tutorial of sorts on the podcast channel. Today I'm going to be walking you guys through how we were able to build this photo studio wall in a house that we're renting. As you can see from the before photos, this room was not photo ready. The walls were puke yellow and the floors were way too dark to complement most projects. So we came up with a really simple modular way that you could take an existing wall and basically build a new wall on top of it. It's big enough that we can build and assemble projects in here, and it's pretty enough that we can take our finished shots and everything looks amazing. But for now, let's just get started on the Modern Maker podcast. I almost said modern builds there. To start, Jesse cut down some 2x4s to length on the miter saw. Traditionally, walls are 8 feet high, but that doesn't include the drywall or the flooring, so we needed to cut these down just a little bit to fit into place. After that, Ben used the palm router and a straight edge to create a groove on the bottom of the 2x4s so that they can go around the molding. Remember, we can't paint and remove trim, so we've got to do this so that the 2x4s can sit flush against the wall. After that, Ben was able to mark out all of the studs behind the wall. Luckily at our place, they were already centered on 12 inches instead of 16. If yours are not, you may have to use drywall anchors if you want your studs to be 12 inches on center. And what's cool about what we did is we turned the 2x4s so that instead of 1.5 inches of surface area, we have 3.5 inches to drill screws into to hang picture frames or other projects. Although the piece in the corner did need trimmed on both sides to fit over the molding. Now, if you've never put up drywall before, don't let it intimidate you. In fact, it's really pretty simple. As long as your panels fit, you just hang them up and use a few screws to attach them to the studs. Now, you may need to trim them to height like we did on a couple of panels, and we used a utility knife to do that. You really don't need any special equipment for a small project like this, which is really great. In fact, we had to trim one of our panels to fit in the corner, and that's how we did it. The main thing you want to focus on is just making sure that your seams are flush. So as you can see here, we actually tucked a 2x4 on one of our seams where it didn't line up. That way we could add screws really close to the edge so that everything sat flush. And with the drywall hung, we could mud and tape our seams. This is also a simple process. You apply a thick layer of mud and use a putty knife to smooth everything out. Then you can put your tape on to add strength, and once that is dry, you can come over with one more coat of mud, sand everything down, and it'll be a really nice, smooth finish. We're using a Pergo laminate flooring for this project, and it has a really nice gray wash. I'll leave a link to it down in the description if you're also interested in using it. But this stuff is really great because we can float it over the original floor. Most of the time, projects don't look their best over a dark walnut floor. There's just too much dark colors rolling around, so if you can use a gray wash or a light colored wood, it'll usually give your pictures a crisper, cleaner look like what you can see here. With that being said, there's always the time that a dark wood floor is exactly what your piece needs, so having this floated floor is great because we can remove it if we ever need to use the walnut finish, and then put it back down just like a jigsaw puzzle. Overall, this project was a breeze. We were able to put it up in 2 days, and it's able to elevate the perceived value of what we're making tenfold. If you have an amazing piece photographed in an ugly room, it's going to be really hard for it to overcome that. And on that same page, if you have a mediocre piece in a really nicely furnished room, it tends to make it look nicer too. So I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time on the Modern Maker Podcast YouTube channel. Bye, everybody.